Okay, so this video is going to show you how to calculate the mean, the standard deviation, the standard error of the mean, and to put error bars on your graph. So here I have some data that was taken in a workshop that I went to, and this measured palm width. It's a little bit different from what we did in class because this is measured in millimeters. In class we measured them in centimeters. So what we're going to do is get the mean, the standard deviation, and the standard error of the mean for this group of data that was taken or collected. Okay? So in order to calculate the mean, that's the average, you put your cursor in the box and click where you want the mean to occur. So we go up here, we hit function, and we type in average, because remember in class I told you guys that Excel doesn't recognize the word mean, so we have to use the word average, which calculated is the same thing. We put OK. Now here it shows you what cells are going to be averaged. So we have B3 through B18, right? So we can just change that to an 18. That's one way to do it. Okay, and then hit OK. And there's our average, or our mean. And we can do the same thing here. Function. Average should already show up if you have this selected here, most recently used. If it doesn't, just type in the word average, and it'll show up. There it is. Click on hit OK. Now this time we want what? We want these here. So we can select them, or you can type them in there, whichever one you want to do. Just remember to put a colon in between. And then you hit OK. And here's our average for the males. Now you notice we have a larger sample size of the females than the males. So what do you think is going to happen with our standard deviation when we calculate it? Hit function equals STDEV. Select standard deviation. Hit OK. And we're going to select the cells we want to get the standard deviation with, which are these. Hit enter. And there's our standard deviation for the females. Same thing for the males. Standard deviation should show up there. If it doesn't, just type it in, and it will. Hit OK. And then we just want these three. And then hit enter. So we've got a little bit of a standard deviation with the females. And now don't forget, we did this in millimeters. Okay? All right. For the standard error of the mean. So our standard deviation shows us the variance that we have between each of our samples. Those are our data points. And the average, or the mean. The standard error of the mean shows us how much our average, or our mean, can deviate. In other words, what the range is for our average, or our mean. So the formula is a little bit different. So we hit equals. We do standard deviation. Okay, hit. We can select it. You can select it here. You can select it up at the top. Okay, hit enter. Oops. Go up here. And then we have to select. Let me take that out. Let me do it again for you guys. Okay, hit function. So hit STDEV. There it is right there. Hit OK. Then let's get our range that we want, the samples. These are the samples right here. Hit enter. There's our standard deviation. Why do we have this here? Okay, that's fine. Let's make sure that that's right. If you see a little warning sign like that, you should probably do it again. Hit OK. Now here's our range, 71.5. We want all of these, and then hit enter. Good. Okay, so that's our standard deviation. Now, remember, it's the standard deviation divided by the square root of the number of samples you have. So we need to hit the /. And how many samples do we have? How many data points? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I believe that's right. 16. Yep. So divided by the square root, SQRT, parentheses, 16, parentheses, enter. There's our standard error of the mean for the females. Let's do the same thing for the males, STDEV. Hit OK. And we want those 3, right? Hit enter. And then we have to do a divide by SQRT, parentheses. What's going to go in parentheses? Our number of samples, right? We have 3 data points, so it's 3. Then hit enter, and here's our SEM. Now what we are going to do is we are going to graph our mean. So you can just select right there, it's fine, or you can select the whole thing. Hit insert. We're just graphing the means. Insert, and then we do our column graph. Just do the plain one. Now in class I showed you here, see this here where it says chart element? I showed you you can use this to fix your chart up and get everything in it that you want in it. Or you can hit this little plus sign that's right here. Now the only time the plus sign shows is if your graph is there and your graph has to be selected. So see, it disappeared. So if I click on the graph, now that plus sign shows. Let's go ahead and do the chart title first. So if you go to chart title, you don't even have to click. Now click on the arrow. We want it above the chart. That's this one. Now you go up here to type in what you want. So our title, something like effect of gender on hand width, right? There. And it puts it in for you. Now for the y-axis right here, go to axis titles. And is that the horizontal or the vertical? That's the vertical one. So let's go ahead and put there. What should go on the side there? Hand width in millimeters. Remember I told you this one was measured in millimeters. Good. Now let's get the bottom, the y-axis title, which is the horizontal one. Okay, primary horizontal. Go up here and type, and we want gender. There. So our graph looks pretty good right now. All right. Now we want to add error bars. Those error bars come from this. It's this information here. And this standard error of the mean tells us how much our average or our mean can deviate. So it gives us a plus and a minus standard error of the mean. So to do this, click on your graph, hit the plus sign. See, and you can also do it over here if you want, but this is closer, so we'll just do this. Click on error bars. Now we don't just want those. That just put error bars. We have custom error bars we're going to make. So we need to click on that little arrow and do more options. Okay, let me do it again for you. Click on your graph, hit the plus sign, error bars, that little arrow there, more options. Now this is the box you should see. If you see this one, this kind of is just cosmetic, kind of how your graph will look. Or you might see this one. If so, don't freak out. Just go over here where the bars are. See the bars right here? And these says error bar options. We click on that. So we want our error bars to go both positive and negative. So we want both selected, and it usually is. We want caps on them so that we can see them easily. Now see where it says error amount? We want to come down here where it says custom specify value. So we have a positive error value and a negative error value, which is the same. Should be the same numbers, just one will go above the bar, one will go below the bar. So go ahead for the positive one. Click on this little, looks like a little tiny table. Okay, and then click here, hold down, and then go to this one too. And then you can click here. Now so that gives us the positive error. Let's do the negative one. Same thing. Click on the standard error of the mean and this one. Click there and then hit OK. Now let's look at our bars. Now this is a little bit different than what we got in class, isn't it? Now if you look at our error bars, this one is right on 78. This one is on 78 too. Now in class, they weren't even close to each other. The boys was in their area really, really small, and the girls was too. Now if they are in the same area, which these two are, that tells us that there is no significance between those two averages, because see, actually, if we collected more data, this is calculated for us in the standard error mean, our actual mean could be anywhere in here. So with the amount of data we have, we cannot make or support our hypothesis that says that the males have bigger hands than females. Now your data may be different in class. If you look, this one's a little bit, let's make the graph a little bigger so you can see. This one's a little above 78, isn't it? And so is this one. So it's really hard to tell whether or not they overlap. And I'm going to go on the safe side and say that they could overlap. And so therefore we did not support our hypothesis. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and stop this video here. And hopefully this